Hello and welcome to the New World Review, your source for everything anime and manga. And today it's time for some more Hunter x Hunter. And more specifically, let's get into some Nen abilities. Now, Nen is one of the most versatile power systems I have ever encountered in all of media. It's not straightforward at all, and for the large majority of the time, its usage is entirely dependent on the unique needs of the individual wielding it, which makes its possibilities effectively endless. And so, over the course of the series, we've encountered a huge variety of individual expressions of Nen, ranging from mild utilities to world-shaking demonstrations of pure power. And given this wide range, it's quite impossible to develop a definitive top 5 Nen abilities list. If you were to do so, you'd need to add another qualifier, such as the top 5 strongest Nen abilities or top 5 most useful Nen abilities. Neither of which we're going to be exploring here today, because this list is going to be a fair bit more subjective. That's right, for this list we're going to be exploring my top 5 favorite Nen abilities, and we can look at them in a more objective manner at a later date, but for now, the only thing that needs to qualify an ability for this list is that it had some sort of great impact on me in one way or another. A lot of these abilities are also unashamedly techniques that I would love to use myself, so there's also that. But with that out of the way, let's begin. Welcome to my top 5 favorite Nen abilities in Hunter x Hunter. Number 5. Godspeed. So first and foremost, anything Nen related to do with Killua is always a winner in my books. He is consistently one of the most fascinating characters to watch evolve, but he really outdid himself here with Godspeed. And the core function of this ability, Whirlwind, is deceptively simple, as it allows Killua to react to external stimuli in a much more automated process than the body is designed for. For example, the standard process of reaction would be that the body encounters stimuli, perceiving it through nerves, which then send instructions to the brain, which then tell the muscles to do their appropriate thing. However, this is far too slow, and with Godspeed, Killua has essentially crafted his aura to automatically send a signal to his muscles upon contact with stimuli, and thus bypass the comparatively slow nervous system, which I think is just such a cool idea. It's actually kind of like what Dragon Ball Super tried to do with the concept of Ultra Instinct, except that Godspeed predates it and provides a much more satisfying explanation for how such maddening powers could exist to begin with. And so it's obviously fantastic for defensive purposes, with the incredible natural reactions, but in the right assassin type of hands, Godspeed could also be used for deadly offensive purposes, allowing Killua to more or less pre-program responses to actions he predicts will be used by opponents, and thus being able to take maximum advantage, even over opponents who, theoretically, completely outclassed him in terms of Nen, strength, and even base speed. And of course, it should also be noted that there is a secondary application of Godspeed that allows Killua to retain conscious control of his movements, granting him a general speed boost, but certainly not the incredible reflexes of Whirlwind. But let's be real here, it just looks so damn cool as well. And yes, there is also a great cost to Godspeed, which is that it rapidly depletes Killua's aura, and that he is not aware of exactly how much he is outputting at any given time, making it a highly situational and short burst ability. Still, it's pretty phenomenal, and ticks all of the boxes, for me anyway. Number 4. Kawara. Now, who would have thought that something so cute could be so deadly? Well, that's Kawara for you, and this little chap here is called APR, short for Amortizing Power Redirector. Now, this ability was crafted by one Knuckle Bine, a hot-headed favorite of mine, and not someone I initially thought would have been a particularly decent mathematician. However, in order to implement Kawara effectively, that is effectively what he must be, as it involves emitting an indestructible mascot, APR, who is then attached to an opponent after being dealt a blow from Knuckle. In this process, Knuckle also needs to lend a portion of his aura to an opponent, much like a bank loan really, which is immediately terrifying due to the concept of interest. And APR has a ridiculously high interest rate of 10%, which is accrued every 10 seconds. And should this loaned amount, combined with its interest, ever exceed the total aura capacity of the opponent, well, they are sent into bankruptcy and are forced into a continuous state of Zetsu for the next 30 days. And the reason why I love this Nen ability so much is because of the unique spin it puts on battle, as both Knuckle and his opponent become entirely incapable of actually damaging each other, as if the opponent strikes Knuckle, it will only make a repayment of Nen towards the loan, and if Knuckle strikes his opponent, then it is considered a further loan of Nen. In any case, the only way out of this is for an opponent to completely repay the loan, which as the battle goes on becomes more and more impossible, especially if Knuckle is particularly adept at not being hit. Now, the one thing I will question is its compatibility with its user. Unlike most expressions of Nen, I'm not sure just how perfectly Kawara suits a guy like Knuckle, because it actively removes his ability to use his natural brawling instincts. Once this ability is invoked, Knuckle's primary goal is to essentially stall his opponent until they go bankrupt, which seems a bit at odds with his fiery, punchy personality. However, to me, Kawara is a fantastic example of individual expression and of how a single simple Nen ability can completely reshape the landscape of battle. Plus, anything that can turn the concept of compound interest into a gripping dramatic device absolutely deserves our attention. Number 3. Crazy Slots. Alright, here is the first entry on this list to contain a clown, and admittedly the only entry on this list, sadly. However, this Nen ability wielded by the legendary Kite does much more than produce a smack-talking clown face, and as the name implies, Kite can then activate a roulette, resulting in a number from 1 to 9 randomly appearing on the clown's tongue. And once a number is rolled, a weapon corresponding to the number is conjured for use by Kite. So thematically, I love this ability because like Kawara, it puts an entirely unique spin on battle. When engaging in combat, you would essentially need to roll a random weapon and make the most of what luck has given you. However, this random chance is also the key to enhancing the overall power of the ability, as one of the general concepts of Nen is that the more restrictions or conditions placed on a particular technique, the stronger its overall output will be once those conditions are met. And these restrictions extend further than the roulette and into the individual weapons as well, with the best example of which being slot number 2, Scythe. Now you'd think that being granted a big old scythy thing would result in some wonderfully versatile action, but as it turns out, this scythe can only be used in one way, which is the silent waltz technique. And not only that, but the scythe cannot be dispelled until this ability has been performed. So Crazy Slots really does rely on the old adage that restrictions breed creativity. Now rather sadly, we've only seen 3 of these 9 possibilities contained within Crazy Slots, and even then we only actually know the function of 2 of those 3 weapons, with slot number 3 being the mace likely to remain a bit of a mystery forever. There's also no guarantee that we will ever be privy to more of the numbers, which is a shame, because what we've seen so far leaves me with a profound desire to keep playing the slot machine and see what potential it holds. But at the same time, I also greatly enjoy the huge unknown and invocation of imagination that comes with thinking about Kite's masterpiece. Number 2. The 100 type Guanyin Bodhisattva. Coming in at number 2, we have one of the crowning achievements of Nen use within all of humanity, produced by none other than the remarkable Isaac Netero. This creation is an aesthetic bombardment in terms of size, form, and functionality, and if you're particularly familiar with Nen, it can seem almost like an impossibility that such great power could ever even exist to begin with. At least that's what I thought at the time when I first laid eyes upon this technique in the series. This ability makes everything that came before it look like child's play, and the way its power was tied directly to Netero's superhuman speed was masterful storytelling and made for one of the most unforgettable bouts in anime history when it was used to combat the Chimera and King Meruem. So as the name suggests, this ability gives Netero access to a gigantic statue of Guanyin, which he can then manipulate in 100 different ways to produce one of the most terrifyingly powerful Nen constructs ever seen. Furthermore, there is also a super special secret ultimate move known as the Zero Hand, which allows Netero to focus every last bit of his aura into a single devastating blast as a last-ditch effort towards victory. Although going back to its use in the series, I have to say the key reason why I love this ability so much is because we did see it pushed to its absolute limits, and those limits are just insanity. It's very hard to imagine many, if any, other characters in the series who aren't a certain Ant King standing up to this power for even a single second. But it is very much thanks to Meruem that we were given a long, hard look at a truly top-tier ability that the large majority of mankind in the series could never dream of, much less achieve. But as memorable as it is, there is always one other ability that without fail always comes to my mind first when I think of the concept of Nen. Number 1. Dragon Head. Now I don't know if this might seem a bit, underwhelming after examining our last entry, but ever since seeing Xenozoldyck's ability to transmute an entire dragon out of aura, I was just kind of in love. Although it doesn't need to be used on such a scale, in fact Xeno can craft dragons of seemingly any size for whatever utility he desires. In fact, my favorite use of Dragon Head comes in the form of the sub-ability Dragon Dive, whereby Xeno shatters his giant dragon construct into hundreds and hundreds of smaller dragons that rain down upon an enemy like a relentless barrage of concrete piercing arrows. And while I should note that this particular ability isn't wildly effective against high caliber Nen users due to the relative ease in which the dragons could be dodged, I just don't care, because the imagery of these dragons falling from the sky is devastatingly beautiful, as is anything to do with the visual depiction of Dragon Head, especially in the anime adaptation, in which it favors a gold and purple color scheme, subconsciously letting me know that this power is rare, potent, and not at all to be trifled with, which is also a direct reflection of its user. And it just has everything I'm looking for, really. High quality power, cool concept, an incredible range of versatility, and carefully crafted aesthetic value. And that is why Dragon Head reigns supreme on this incredibly subjective list here today. But that pretty much does it for my top 5 favorite Nen abilities. If you enjoyed this video and the content this channel produced in general, then please do consider donating to the New World Review Patreon, because the support of all of you amazing people is what continues to make this channel possible. And if Patreon isn't quite your style, then please do leave this video a like, share, or subscribe, because it also helps support this channel an incredible amount. And if you'd like to join the fun at any time, then please do head over to my Discord server, where a wide array of shenaniganry takes place on a daily basis. And finally, please do comment with your own favorite Nen abilities in the series. This has been the New World Review, and I'll see you next time.